Hello everyone. I'm so delighted to congratulate Angan on the launch of this important report on the vulnerable child and the climate crisis. It's been a privilege for Britspan India to undertake the foundational research underpinning this report. Why does the intersection of the child with climate matter so much? Sadly, India ranks 7th on the Global Climate Risk Index and 26th on the Children's Climate Risk Index, underscoring how vulnerable children are to climate exposure. Year after year, such disasters have only accelerated. For example, the number of climate disasters in the first 2 decades of this century have already far exceeded those that occurred in the last century. The most vulnerable children also hail from families that adopt unsafe coping mechanisms, such as migration, pulling children out of school early marriages, particularly of the girl child, and getting children to work before their eligible age. There's also a hard economic reality to this impact. If India does not act soon, in the next 20 years, we risk a 5.5% decline to our GDP because today's vulnerable children will not be at their full economic potential. On the other hand, if we invest about 2% of our GDP holistically for children's education, health and nutrition, safety and protection, India's development indicators will not be adversely affected. This is an important moment for India to center children's abilities and well-being in the climate crisis. The report lays out practical pathways for every stakeholder to play a part. Simply put, we call it the SAFE lens. S for safety and protection of the vulnerable child. A for access to basic economic and essential services. F for financial, family and community connectedness. And E for education and economic security. To actualize this lens, every stakeholder needs to take individual and collective responsibility. We applaud Angan in taking on this daunting yet bold agenda to center the child in the climate crisis. We stand shoulder to shoulder with Angan and other stakeholders in this critical and difficult agenda. We hope that today's report launch has not just sparked interesting debates and conversations and evidence-based thinking, but more importantly, can galvanize additional funding and collaborative action for this cause. We wish Angan and other stakeholders the very best in the coming decades of development to ensure that children and youth are not left behind. Thank you and have a nice evening.